One of the advantage the current government has is young leaders, and in this case, young politicians. And this is, of course, and should be a strength. But again, looking at their behavior and how they're conducting themselves, instead of it being a strength, it is either fast or slowly turning to be liability. I'm saying this because we have seen how they are conducting themselves. We have through, for example, the kind of the statement and utterances they are making, their attitude towards leadership, their attitude towards others and towards Kenya in general, and their ambition and indeed what they think is right and what they think is wrong. And some of their philosophies and some of their way of doing things, their DNA of doing things. I'm saying this because you see, this government, like any other government, can face challenges. And when others talk about some of the challenges, especially when the opposition talks about some of the challenges, then it is upon the prerogative with any government either to give it an ear and to find a way of addressing it, or at least to find a way of intervening and addressing the issues. But depending on how a government, through their apparatus, are going to respond to some of the things that the opposition and even some of the non-governmental organization and institution raises, then it is going to determine and to define how the atmosphere of our country is going to continue running. We've had a number of challenges, like for example, the Kenyan government has faced for almost this 1 year they have been in leadership. And a number of things, not just the opposition, but also the Kenyan in general have raised, and they feel this leadership is not addressing things as they ought to address. And one of the things that is on the table is the issue of the finance bill that is that the president ascended to it the other day. And so Kenyan feel that they are being overtaxed, and when they look at their income is not proportional to what they are being taxed, or they want to be taxed. And even majority of them do not have that income. The only thing, when they maneuver and they can get something, and then when they go to buy items, of course they're going to be taxed. And so they feel that they are ending up as paupers, people who do not have even that chance to provide even for a single meal. And this has been faced with a lot of reactions. And because this government comprises of a good chunk of young people, young politicians, we have seen some of them chest thumping and really coming out, not necessarily looking at Kenya in the bigger perspective, but looking at their interest and what they want to achieve as individuals. And that's why sometimes you give the benefit of leadership even to the people, the veterans who've been there. They have seen a lot. Their interest could be different, and their ambition could be different. uh, yes, the young politician leaders, they have energy, but this energy is being abused and it is being misused. They want to feel that they want to make a point, and their way has to go through, whether it is right or wrong, whether it is destroying the lives of Kenyans or not. As long as that is what they think is right, then they have to push for it, and it has to go through at all costs. And this, over time, we have realized that it is hurting Kenya at large. It is hurting the operation of the government itself. It is hurting the delivery of services and also the progress of the country at large. And so this is even what is causing us to be where we are. The opposition is on the street, and people are on the street. And instead of coming up to listen to the grievances or to the issues that they are raising, they are deciding to respond to them in a different way. The issues at hand, they are issues that probably by now it is at least heading somewhere, that some of the institutions are really coming in and throwing their views on it. Amnesty International, they have spoken to it, and also the UN, of course, UNESCO, they also spoke about it. And of course, we've seen many other people talking about it, and this has also attracted the interest of also the international community. And so really what needs to be done in all these things is that leaders need to come to their senses, and this include both those in the government and also those outside the government. You cannot underrate the strength of the opposition, and in this case the government should not underrate them, and the opposition also should not underrate the strength of the government. I would want to agree with the statements of Bishop Muheria that indeed both of these two camps needs to come together. We're not saying that they come together to share leadership or to do anything, but there is a need for them to come together, and there is a need for a constructive, structured, inclusive dialogue that will help to navigate and to find a solution to some of these grievances that are being experienced. We are saying this because even if the government may manage to contain the situation at hand, and the situation may not find itself escalating, it will not be the end of these challenges. These challenges will continue, and this government will experience these challenges the rest of their time in their term. So the best thing is for them to come together, and this attempt has been there before, but in my own view, it was a good attempt. We applauded it, but it was a narrow item. An attempt, that is the attempt of bipartisan. It was a narrow and somehow selfish, and not necessarily inclusive in nature. We need to have a dialogue that includes everybody on board and all sectors in the country who are going to put in their views, something that is not just going to be managed by the parliament. And of course, not managed by the parliament, because we have seen the parliament misbehaving. Most of them have been on board. Most of them, they are no longer talking sense. as long as they have been whipped to take a certain direction, that is the direction, whether it is wrong or not. And so this is not going to help the country it is going rather to polarize and to just try to de-escalate the issues at hand, but later on these issues are going again to pop up. So proper dialogue, structured, all-inclusive dialogue will be good and helpful for the country, and especially during this time that things are not right. And the government, led by the president himself, Mr. Ruto, he needs to come to this reality. And he must shelve some of his ambition. And this calls for give and take from both parties. And in this case, the higher calling is on those in the government. They have to give in a lot. They have to give and take a big chunk of it so as to really have a government and to manage a country in a proper way. Because this country need to be managed not with the feeling that it is our time to eat, or not to be managed like a private company. This is a thing that includes that, and the leadership in place has to be cognizant that they are leaders of everybody, whether they were voted for or not. They are there for everybody. So we need dialogue, because these issues cannot be solved on the street. The street may help, as others may argue, but at the end of the day, it will call for a proper conversation. And in this case, we need something that is going to be led outside the parliament and by people who are not necessarily taking sides. Otherwise, the king bless Kenya and all the leaders. And may you be sober, and may you do the right thing.